Hello, sports fans. It's me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke. And I had a viewer request to talk about the house rules that I use when I play Strat-O-Matic baseball, and particularly when I play the elementary version of the game. If you're not familiar with that, the elementary version of the game is the version used looking at the front of the cards, as you can see right here, the front of the cards. Now, the reasons for that, there are a few reasons. The first is I just prefer the elementary version because I like the front of the cards better than the back of the cards. Particularly with the older versions, because you can see this is what the back of the cards look like in the older versions. It's not color-coded like it is now, which makes it that much more difficult, I guess. Not to say that it makes it difficult, but it does make it more so than now when they have the color coding. So I just prefer the front of the cards. But the other reason is that if you've watched my videos, you've seen that I've done countless games using the elementary version. And the reason for particularly doing the videos using the elementary version is that I tend to lose my train of thought, where I am, where we are in the game, who's up, that type of thing, which will happen when you're 53 years old and older, and I am 53, so yes. I do tend to lose my train of thought, and so the elementary version is a little easier to use. In that respect, I don't have to think about, oh, okay, this is a left-handed batter, he's facing a left-handed pitcher, so which column do I refer to when I roll the 4, 5, or 6, or the 1, 2, or 3? And then it even gets even worse when you're talking about a switch hitter, so now you've got, okay, this is the switch hitter, he's facing a left-handed batter, so that means he'll bat right-handed. You know, it's another layer of minutia that I don't need to have to consider while I'm right in the middle of a video doing a video. Because if you notice, somebody pointed out that in one of my NLCS playoff games that I did for 1978, I took an entire at bat away from the Phillies. Apologies to Phillies fans out there. But that was because I lost my train of thought and I didn't realize that the Phillies should have been up, and so I went and it made it the Dodgers that had the at bat. So if that happened in the elementary version, just imagine if you're taking that and you're going to an advanced version where you've got lefties versus righties, and you've got weather conditions, and you've got little triangles after readings, and you've got open triangles, and you've got this and that and the other thing. No. So we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be messing with that. So that means I go with the elementary version in the games. And really, I prefer to, even when I have somebody over that plays Strat-O-Matic, which is extremely rare, I might add. But when that does happen, I still even prefer that we play the elementary version, although the people that I have over usually are very adept at Strat-O-Matic and they don't go for that. But that is what I prefer to play. But definitely in my videos, that's what I'm doing. So now the question that was asked primarily was that that they noticed that I do incorporate some advanced rules. And that's true. I do go to some advanced readings. And the instances where I go to that are when the ball is hit to the outfield and I have to determine A, which outfielder gets to it, and B, what the throwing arm is to try to stop the runner from advancing an extra base on the hit. For instance, a single with nothing after it. You are allowed, and the rules say this, you're allowed to take a second, a second base. A runner on first can try to go to third on a single with nothing after it. That's in the elementary rules. But the elementary rules take into account a different system of determining who it's hit to and what their throwing arm would be to try to get the guy. Now, what I do is first determining who the ball's hit to. I go on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 basis. 1 is left field, 2 is center field, 3 is right field, then 4 is left field, 5 is center field, 6 is right field. That's how I do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 to left. One and see, I lost my train of thought. 1 and 4 to left. 2 and 5 to center, and 3 and 6 to right. Now, I believe the elementary version, the elementary rules, say that it's 1 and 2 to left, 3 and 4 to center, and 5 and 6 to right. It's just easier for me to think about it as 1, 2, 3 across the outfield and 4, 5, 6 across the outfield. So that's easier for me when I'm thinking about it, so that's how I do it. It all comes out in the wash because it's still 2 chances for each outfielder. Now, in determining whether they throw out the runner or not, I go by the actual throwing arm on the back of the card. So, for example, we have right here Cesar Geronimo, 1979 Reds. And you can see up there at the top that his throwing arm is a -4. Is that right? -4? Yes. So you can see right there in the parentheses he has a -4 throwing arm. So if I had determined by roll of the dice that Geronimo was the one that was going to be trying to throw the guy out, I would take the -4. And that's purely it. You've got the chart right here, so you can see here are the stealing ratings on the elementary chart, and I go strictly off of those. So, for instance, you've got the stealing AA, stealing second base is a 1 to 17. Cesar Geronimo is a -4 arm. So, the way I would do it in the game, the way that I play with my house rules, is that. Excuse me, that's not stealing. Again, I lost my train of thought, see? If, let's say you had a runner that's a 1 to 15, trying to go from second to third on Cesar Geronimo, and he's the one trying to throw the runner out. You take the 1 to 15, and you subtract the 4 for his throwing arm, and that's 1 to 11. So the runner trying to go to the next base, 1 to 15, which is very good, would be cut down to 1 to 11. And that's how I do it for the throwing arm. Now, the stealing, which is what I was talking about mistakenly just before. The stealing, I use the elementary version of the steal ratings. So you have a AA stealer going to second, and he is a 1 to 17 trying to steal second. If you have a catcher 1, it's a -4. A catcher 2, it's a -3. A catcher 3, it's a -2. And a catcher 4, it's a -1. And then with catcher 5, if you happen to have a catcher 5, I don't know if the rules say to do this, but I go with a +1. It doesn't go to 0, I go to +1 for a catcher 5. So that's what the modifiers are for me in the elementary version, which is basically what the elementary version says for throwing the runner out by catcher by stealing. And the reason that I do that is because in some of the older sets, as I was told, like the 1979 set, there were no hold ratings. So holds don't even get incorporated. And since I'm not, even if you were playing 2018, I'm not incorporating a hold rating. So I do incorporate the catcher throwing arm. Let's say a 1 is a -4. A catcher 1 may not necessarily be a -4 throwing arm, but that's how I do it to kind of compensate for the fact that I'm not taking pitcher hold ratings into account. So that's how I do the catcher trying to, or the player trying to steal a base, and what the catcher's or the defense's, the catcher and the pitcher subtraction rating would be in trying to gun him down. So that is, I mean, that's basically the only ways that I can think that I change the I use house rules. Now, another question that was asked was, I have, if you've seen my recent videos about the 79 World Series and some of them, the 79 playoffs coming up through that, up to that, you've seen that I use a huge playing field. And that playing field is actually done on a rubber mat that can actually be rolled up. It's really nice. I wish I remember where I got it, because I would order another one, or maybe even one for hockey or what have you. But I forgot. I did order it through someone. Someone actually does them. You send them the image that you want done of the field, and they will send you that rubber roll-up mat, big, nice, like you see in the videos, nice big mat of that playing field. The outs and the position numbers, like 7, 8, and 9 in the outfield, I just wrote those on with permanent marker after I got it. That wasn't part of the, although you probably could make it. You could probably, even if you could get an image of the ball field, and you could, in the image, put those, whatever you wanted, into the image and send that to the company or the person or whoever it is that made it. That would be great. And by the way, if anybody knows who that is, who that person or that company is that does that, please, by all means, leave a comment below and let me know, because I would love to order another one. And then also the last question that was asked was about the playing discs, the discs that I use for the base runners. As you might see when you look at one of the past videos, I'll have discs that have like the Orioles logo or the Pirates logo, if you looked at the NLCS, or right now in the World Series, the Reds logo. Actually, I just make those myself. I have an art degree, and I am fairly decent at art, so I do draw my own logos on the discs, and then I just cut the discs out from like cardstock, and then that's what the discs are. So the markers, and I like that better, and it does work really well, especially with the big field. It's less so, I guess, with the regular size cardboard field that comes with the game, because then it takes up a lot of room on the board itself. They're much better on the big field that I have. So that's how I do the discs, the markers. I like that better than having the little tokens, because with the tokens, you roll the dice and you take a chance you're going to knock the token over. But if you have those discs on the field to mark the base runners, the dice will just roll right over the discs if you have them out on the field. So that is to answer the questions. I hope I answered all the questions by the viewer. If I didn't, if there's anything that was unclear, I would be happy to go back and talk about that, or you could go offline and contact me, because I have, let's see, I got my card in here. There it is. There's my Twitter, my Instagram, and my email. You can feel free to email me. I will respond to any emails that are sent to me. So if I didn't quite answer the question, and I hope I didn't ramble too much, then you can just send me an email. I'll be happy to answer it. Again, if anybody out there, this is very important, anybody out there knows who the person or the company is that makes those customized fields, I would love to know, because I seem to have lost the contact information for them. I had that field made probably a couple years ago, I want to say. So that's all I got for right now. Remember, subscribe to the channel if you liked what you saw. Ring the bell. Share it with anybody that you think might be interested. But for right now, it's me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, signing off.